What if the biggest obstacle to great intimacy isn't your partner? It isn't your hormones. It's how little we've been taught about pleasure. Most of us can name a favorite food. We can name our favorite city we like to visit. We can name our fitness goals. And yet, people have taken so much time to truly understand what their body enjoys and what turns them on and how to communicate that with their partner. In this episode, we're moving beyond sex into sensuality, into understanding your body and your partner's body. We're talking about body mapping. If you've never heard of that, you must listen. Erogenous zones, desired touch, anticipation, week-long foreplay even, and the subtle way you can create deeper connection and more meaningful pleasure. This is not something that you want to miss. Please watch it till the end. You're going to learn so much about your own pleasure and your partner's pleasure. Be sure to watch till the end, subscribe, and share Life Unfiltered by Faz. And you said something about a healthy relationship. I'd like to know, how do you define a healthy relationship?
Oh gosh. I think me being able to be who I really am, without fear of judgment or shame.
So who are you, Cathy?
Oh gosh.
Tell me something that you feel like in this last year, in this relationship, you found you were more comfortable being you.
It's such a difficult question.
It's not. I'm pushing you outside your comfort zone. So it's not a difficult, it's very easy. You just don't want, okay, let's see what Cathy has to say.
I think for me, I've learned to be more open and giving, because the kind of person that I am open and giving, and I do that.
Right.
Naturally. And as a result, I also expect the same from another person. I think what I've learned about myself this year is sharing how I feel doesn't automatically mean that somebody is going to agree with me 100%. And it's okay for them to have those feelings as long as there's a basic level of respect around what I am sharing. I think another thing that I learned is that I'm really, I think I'm very capable of loving. Like it's not done, because I think I reached a point where, especially perimenopause hit me really hard in February this year, and it was my birthday month, and I thought I was doing really well, and my body failed me, and it was a difficult time. I remember having many conversations with my big brother, who's my best friend, by the way, and I was just crying on the phone and just saying that how I hate life and it's just so terrible. Yeah. But what I found is that I'm so resilient, and taking the fact that I've been open and willing and honest with other people doesn't mean I need to transfer that and not do it anymore.
Right.
Because the person that I'm presented with could be like everyone else. I think that was also a mindset change for me to understand that not everybody is like everybody else.
Right.
And I think that paradox of intimacy being, the search for genuine intimacy, I think that thing has allowed me to maybe be more open about sharing with somebody else and being open with someone else, and allowing myself to honestly believe that not everything has to fail and that there is beauty in a relationship working. And that's where I feel that I'm at right now.
That's beautiful.
I do feel in a better place because, like I said, when I met you last year, I was probably broken into so many pieces. But I feel as if over the year I've picked bits of myself. I've really gotten rid of some stuff because there's some stuff that couldn't come with me. And the version that I am today is a version that I'm really happy to be, especially in my own body, because I struggled with that during perimenopause.
I think that's the thing, right? Is that we we look in the mirror and we're so judgmental of ourselves. And I think this is a conversation we had in the first podcast, that first episode, is how when you're not feeling at your best and then your partner is also not giving you that reassurance, how that can really shift.
Yeah.
And the whole between intimacy and sexual longing and sexual desire, there's a bit of a gap because you can still be intimate with someone but lose that sexual desire because you're not feeling yourself.
Yeah.
And whether it's through perimenopause or it's, again, body issues or it's self-image or it's work and stress, like we have so many things, or it's family or taking care of the kids or there's so many. And understanding that you can bridge that gap, you can be intimate, but your partner needs to just maybe give you a little bit of a verbal massage so that you can be more comfortable and move towards that space of sexual desire.
Yeah.
And I think that's the gap for me. They call it erotic intelligence. So there's a gap. And I'll ask you this question, actually. According to Esther Perel's idea that people want security and they want excitement. And I know that we're both in that space where we're kind of getting both from the partner that we're with. However, because we did talk about this before the podcast, before we started recording, but how do you bridge that gap between security and excitement?
Well, I think first of all, partners need to have like outside interests outside of the relationship.
Okay.
Because and there's nothing wrong with, being like in each other's lives and, spending a lot of time together, and that's totally okay. I know that you shared that you do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And even though I'm in a long distance relationship, I find that all my free time is with my partner, on video, which is great. But it's having outside interests that's really important. So there's stuff that, we'll both be doing on the outside in terms of exercising, having friendships that we're exploring, hobbies that we enjoy, because what that does is it enriches us in different ways. And then when we come together, we can bridge that gap in that way.
Right.
Also redefining what sex is for for partners is also an important part of bridging that gap, and talking about it, because I don't think that we talk about it enough. The idea around, like, I think you said it was safety and excitement. Safety is a good thing because safety can open you up to new sexual experiences. But also over a period of time, the familiarity can also breed this idea of, oh, we're great together. We're best friends. We get along. We communicate. But for some reason, I just don't feel excited by you.
Right.
Like when I think about like having sex with you, or even kissing, it makes me laugh. Like I find it awkward, and it's the spirit of adventure. It's also understanding that this is an adventure. This is something that we can do together, and it also requires you to step out of your comfort zone. So one of the things that I know can connect in that space is eye gazing.
Oh, okay.
If you're able to hold moments of gaze with your partner, they say the eye is the window to the soul. It is
absolutely
true, because if you're able to spend some time eye gazing, and yes, initially when you start doing it, it feels funny.
Yeah.
Okay, it's awkward. Because most of us, like, we're in relationships where we don't spend time really connecting with each other into that space, because having someone, have that contact with you it feels very vulnerable, like you're opening up to something. But that eye gazing is actually a primal intimacy. It's something that, a newborn would experience with a caregiver.
Right.
And sometimes when a baby is crying, and the caregiver comes up to them and, makes eye contact, it soothes the baby.
Yeah, sure.
And over a period of time, it rebuilds trust and safety.
Yeah.
So having that, doing that exercise with your partner is really exciting, because you can combine it with, breathing and, towards tantric sex, which can make it exciting. because you're no longer kind of seeing yourselves as, oh, we're roommates or we're friends, but we're actually people who want to explore each other in a different way and explore each other's bodies.
And I like that because instead of planning, which a lot of couples I know do, that, we'll have sex every Thursday. Instead of having that goal of when we're going to have sex, this would be a more intimate goal to have, that, every Thursday we're just going to sit next to each other, look at each other, maybe have some physical touch, instead of having that, again, that end goal. Like penetration is the end goal. Like this is sharing more of a passionate moment or moments, and saying whether it ends in penetration or not, it doesn't matter. This is just our way to connect intimately and on a different sexual level.
And you can
I
take
love that.
and this is the thing, you can take this in steps where you're enjoying this kind of experience connecting with your partner, and you can progress to doing it without clothes, for example.
Right.
Whether you're seated or standing, how close you are, so you can experience this together. So what it does is it builds up over a period of time. Another good exercise to do is called a body mapping exercise, where you start to focus on finding out what your erogenous zones are, minus the ones that we already know.
Right.
Okay? Because we know boobs, nipples, okay, bum, genitals. Yes, those are go-to zones.
Right. So there's,
okay?
Touch other parts of me and
we need to
I mean,
discover that.
I think if I'm not overindulging, but behind my knee.
Yes.
Right? That's
Yeah.
I
And
remember that.
And this is the thing.
And right here.
Yes.
Like maybe it's just these soft spots, but yeah.
And then also the time and the place. Imagine if your partner, you were somewhere seated and your partner reached just behind the back of your knee and just did that when you were out at dinner, for example. You would feel all sorts of
that's this week-long foreplay we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So it's very possible to connect in that way, but I think we need to learn how to walk before we run.
Yeah, sure.
Because a lot of times when you haven't had sex for a long time with your partner, and you start to worry, okay, are they having sex with somebody else? Right. Are they looking at somebody else? These days on social media, there are lots of beautiful people. Right. You start to look at yourself, reevaluate, and you're kind of thinking, oh, there's nothing about me that's nice. But if we're, between partners, if we're taking time to talk things through, but also understand that we can reconnect. And just because we haven't had sex for a long time, let's focus more on connecting through this primal intimacy, as opposed to jumping in straight into penetrative sex, because that's what we think is the goal to enjoying pleasure and exploring pleasure. Sure. And that is okay, because that is but it is one way of doing it. But we need to establish how we can start to feel the passion, the excitement. And a lot of the times, especially if we've spent a long time having problems in our relationships, the last thing that we're going to think about is intimacy, or rather sexual intimacy. So let me be clear about that. We're not going to think about sexual intimacy, but that's because we've been in a place where we're not really thinking about it. And then when we think about our partner, they don't come across to us as a person who is like, dishy, like, yum, yum, I would like to indulge in that. It's kind of like, it's off-putting. And that's one of the ways that, to create this scenario where you start to look at your partner as this sexual siren, this beautiful object that you get to, devour and explore and, and touch all over.
And I guess when you're connecting on a different physical level, their shoulder starts to look sexier than it did before. Yeah. Their elbow starts to look sexier. The back of their neck. I mean, I can see that once you start touching each other in a different way, and you're exploring each other, you're doing your body mapping, then it's not just, I just need to see you without a shirt on, or without, in a sexual position for me to find you desirable.
Yeah. And experiencing that and being open to experiencing it, like seeing your partner in a different light, is where maybe a lot of us can do some work, because we all wear different hats. Like we'll have the therapist hat, like what I was saying about like my own challenges around how I see things. And one of the things that I know I've had to really work on is to stop seeing my relationship as something that I need to fix.
I think we all do that, whether we're therapists or not. But
it's terrible,
Yeah,
because
of course.
it actually gets in the way of me just being a partner. So I think this relationship has really challenged me to just be a partner, and I've seen how wonderful I can experience it without having to be on all the time, because that's the same thing that I sometimes complain about. Like, I don't want to be on all the time, but am I the one who's actually creating that scenario?
Of course.
When
and I think there was another question that I had for you in terms of women who are like professional women who are in the workforce and who find it hard to connect with their partners in a sexual way. But I think we've kind of already covered that, because again, women, or again, I say women because I'm a woman, but women or men don't have that feeling of being relaxed when they're in a sexual, when they're about to, let's say, have sex. Okay. And I think the reason for that is that you've come home, you're stressed, you're dealing with all of the things that you're dealing with between work and home. And then your partner wants to have intercourse with you and you don't feel relaxed. So either you're going to do it just because you're like, my partner wants to do it and I haven't done it in a really long time. But I feel like all of these things that you've mapped out so far will help people feel more relaxed. And that will lead to a better sexual experience, whether it's weekly or monthly or whatever it might be, or spontaneous. But if you're having that physical touch, if you've done your body mapping, if you've looked at each other in the eyes and you've connected on a different soul level, then you're automatically going to have, your nervous system is going to be not in fight or flight. You're going to be moving more towards rest and digest, which will make you more open to accepting that hump at the kitchen, or that text that says maybe we can do something tonight.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, what I was saying earlier about the honeymoon phase doesn't have to end. It's just when the effort does.
Exactly.
That's when that honeymoon period ends. I'm a strong believer that you can feel excitement every time you see your partner. And when that changes, I think it's really important to clock it. And then start unpacking and talking about it, because there is usually an origin of change. Like when that change happens, it's happened at a particular point. Did you then work towards processing and unpacking that together as a couple?
I've seen some really great relationships. I mean, I've seen relationships come to an end when they first started. I was like, but you guys couldn't keep your hands off each other. Like you were going off to restaurant bathrooms to do stuff and under the table. And I've had some I've witnessed some incredibly sexual relationships come to an end. And I guess, like you said, you haven't clocked in like, okay, things are starting to change. What can we do about it?
Yeah. Especially if one person is initiating and the other person is rejecting that advance. Because when we think about an emotional bid for connection, sexual kind of like a sex is also a need, is also defined as an emotional need. So if you carry on being rejected, at some point you will get quiet, right? And then also there's also this aspect of if you're keeping quiet and you're rejecting that bid for your partner to connect, maybe through sex, because that is something that they want, but you're not really communicating what you need, then how do you expect for that gap to be bridged, or somehow to be filled? And it's important to build that roadmap to connect with each other on that. Yeah. And of course, trying something new. I think that's really important.
I'm all about trying new things.
Yeah. Stepping out of your comfort zone, because people change and things change. And, for example, something that you thought was highly erotic at, I don't know, at 21 is not going to be, maybe, I'm not saying it won't be, but
Sure.
might not be
No,
as exciting
absolutely.
as now. And it's like understanding that people change and things change, and how can we grow and adjust together so that we can continue meeting each other's needs. That's an important part of the whole process.
So, unfortunately, we are coming close to the end of our episode, which
Oh,
I feel like we're just going to have to do this every month. Like, there's so many things we haven't covered. But I'll ask you a couple of questions. They're almost like quick fire questions, but let's
Okay.
just see if we can get through some of these.
Okay.
Can someone be your best friend and still be your greatest source of passion and pleasure?
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
They can. They can. Your partner can be your best friend, and they can be the most pleasurable person on earth. But it takes work.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It takes work. It's a little bit of effort. It's, everything we've covered today, which is so incredible. It's having those micro moments where you share something.
Yeah.
You're not pushing them away. You're not rejecting their broken nail.
And noticing if there are any paper cuts along the way.
Right.
Addressing those. Because those actually hurt more.
Exactly.
When they've piled on.
And I really liked how you said that, like a relationship dies with 1,000 paper cuts. So it's not just one stab. So it's not just, oh, my husband went or my wife went and cheated on me. It is look back and see how many of those paper cuts went unaddressed and unhealed.
And it's slow. Yeah. It's not explosive. It's usually slow.
Right. There was a question I had in terms of what are women doing wrong in their 40s? So we've established the fact, okay, you had a passionate relationship, it ended. A lot of the statistics for divorce is incredible. And what are women doing wrong or men doing wrong when they're getting back into the dating scene? I mean, are they going in, and this is just my interpretation, are they going in and not healing the wounds that they have gotten from a relationship they've been in for a long time, and expecting someone to just step in and fill those gaps without understanding what they're doing the inner work themselves? Or is it more than that? We said that you can't take the same relationship that you had before and replicate it. So maybe there's like a gap in that as well.
Well, I think there's an element of, are we really trying to understand our patterns and whether they're actually helpful? Because I don't think all patterns are helpful. Some of them are actually counterintuitive. Then also, are we going in and really understanding the difference between, chemistry and intimacy? Yeah. Chemistry happens really quickly. Intimacy is built over time. Then are we looking at a person and kind of saying, okay, I don't like this about them, but I think I could be okay with it. If that is rooted in a value, and a value runs deep, then, when we're thinking about like a long-term relationship, are we expecting them to change because they're with us now?
Right.
We need to also understand that we have to accept people for who we are, or who they are.
Yeah.
And because we're expecting the same thing. But are we spending enough time with ourselves to understand that just because somebody has approached me, does this mean that they're for me? Because not everybody who approaches you is for you. And if you're going in with the intention to make that person change, or to make that person do something different because you want that, then maybe that's a time to kind of like step back and ask yourself, is this something that I can live with? And is this person that I'm with, their regular Tuesday, is that something that I can live with for the rest of my life? Because a lot of us don't think about that. When we are choosing a partner, we're also choosing a lifestyle. If they're into partying every weekend and you don't want to party,
Right.
how is that going to pan out over a period of time?
And I think the important thing you said is that, are you going in assuming that they are going to change, or you're going to be able to make them change?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one for me, is what I've seen in the past with other people. Some of my own family members who've been in relationships who no doubt have really loved the person, but there's some very key things that that didn't match. And I think the assumption was that they will change. If they love me enough, they'll change.
And that's why there's a big difference between settling and settling down. Because when you're settling, are you abandoning some of the values that you have based on what you think you will receive in the future? The problem with that is that you're looking at the potential that the relationship can hold rather than the reality. So it's important that we look at the reality first before building on the potential.
Right. And are we settling because we think that that's what society wants? And it's a shame I'm even saying this right now. We're in the 21st century and we're still thinking that people need to settle because society says you're a certain age and you need to have kids and all of that. I mean, I again, we spoke about this in the last episode, but I have been talked about, spoken to, interventions, family stuff. Like I have had the works that you're well into your now late 40s and you haven't been married.
Yeah.
And I don't think that has really changed. I believe it's changing, but I do see a lot of people that are still growing up with that same pressure.
Yeah.
So again, are you settling because of external validation, or are you settling down because you found the right person?
Or even fear.
Yeah, of being alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's something that you think about.
Yeah,
You do.
for
And as
sure.
you get older, you
Absolutely.
do, especially when you live alone. You kind of think, when I'm sick, is there somebody who can get me a glass of water?
Right.
And this is the interesting thing. And this is something that I learned that someone said to me. And I thought, inherently you know it. But when they said it, I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. They actually said that just because you're partnered doesn't mean you're going to feel supported.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
you
for
see,
sure.
support is something that you build together, and it's something that a healthy relationship allows you to have, because you then become interdependent
Right.
on each other to now build this healthy relationship. We're not codependent, okay? We're not heavily relying on one person to do everything and carry the mental load, because that's a whole other conversation for another day. But that fear of, the comfort of knowing that you can be with yourself and on your own is, I think, the thing that opens up somebody else to walk into your life to really add value to what you have already, rather than you
100%.
looking for somebody to come in and fill the spaces or the holes that you have within yourself, because that is a never-ending supply. It very much sits within the addiction space. It's a codependent behavior and attitude, something that really needs to be addressed, because when we think about addiction, we think that it's a substance or it's a drug, but it's a behavior. It could also be an attitude and how we think, how we function. That needs to be addressed. The drug of choice can be anything.
Right. I think for me, there's the comfort of being alone. There is that understanding that solitude and loneliness is two very different things.
Absolutely.
I'm okay being in solitude. I really like my own company. But it's okay that I have someone who comes and fills certain gaps. So it's not a dependency that you have to be that person to fill a gap. It's just saying that I had gaps. I was okay with it. I filled it through trading or, counting my calories, or I don't know, going to the movies.
Yeah.
But it feels nice that I have somebody who's there now who fills those gaps too in a different way. So it's not that dependency, but it's just that openness to say I am more. And again, this is now because of my partner right now, because you would not have caught me dead saying that it's okay for you to come in and fill gaps. But I do see value in what he says. And I understand it more now than I ever had before, that it wasn't that I was filling gaps with bad habits or bad behavior, but I had those gaps. I filled them with my own stuff, healthy things. And now you're there to fill them too. And that is a healthy dependency.
Yeah. And it's okay to lean on somebody.
See, I still, when I say healthy dependency, I still get a bit of a cringe, but it exists because I'm in it right now and it exists. So I can tell you guys out there, it does exist, but it's taken me a really long time to understand what that means.
And it's okay to lean in. I think that's my biggest, that's also my biggest learning in the relationship that I'm in, is that I can actually lean on somebody. Like, I don't have to do it on my own.
Right.
And I think that, and it doesn't mean that I'm, centering my relationship on everything that I am and who I am and what I am and what I do. But it's more or less just me understanding that I don't have to do it on my own if I don't want to.
100%.
And by the way, if you are comfortable being on your own, living life on your own, and you don't need a partner, that is okay.
Yeah.
That is it's a very personal decision.
Absolutely. And again, it's not basing yourself on what society says and doesn't say.
Yeah.
If you choose, and if that's truly what you want, then 100%. I mean, I chose not to be married. It's not that I never had that opportunity. I chose not to get married, and I chose not to have the children. So that was a choice. And I'm okay with that choice. And I'm also now okay with, like you said, leaning in a little bit and saying, it's also okay for you to do things for me that I would have done on my own.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful experience to just allow somebody to do that for you.
I'm vulnerable. There. I said it. 100%. I said it out loud.
There's nothing better than being told, I've taken care of this.
Oh my goodness. It's so great.
Rather than you having to do it
yourself. It's also really great that I don't drive my car anymore. Because I was the most controlling person when it came to driving my car. And a lot of my exes out there can vouch for the fact that it would, like, I would be holding those keys like it was my heart. Like, I don't want to let go of control. And now I'm just like, babe, here's the key. And like, oh, you're tired? Or you just played 2 hours of paddle and, you're, I don't know, drained? Oh, I feel so bad for you. Hey, do you want to drive? It feels
to be a passenger princess.
I am totally the passenger princess. I love that.
I don't mind.
Okay, so we would not be, I know my team is looking at me like, are you guys ever going to stop talking? No, we are not. But we would not be Life Unfiltered if we didn't talk about something a little bit out there, which we'd covered in the last one. But I'm just going to say the orgasm gap. Okay. Firstly, what is the orgasm gap and why are we still dealing with this in this day and age?
I think it's, I mean, it's deep, it's rooted in messaging, I think. The fact that we think that penetrative sex is where we're supposed to be.
Right.
So there's a lot of focus on that. And when we think about sex, that's what we're thinking about. When we think about intimacy, that's what we're thinking about. There's also, the idea that we are, we feel that we can't share what we need to share about our own bodies. So there's that bit. Or we maybe think that somebody isn't going to be able to give us the pleasure, so we might as well just accept it internally and just deal with that. So it's a paradox in itself, because we want that closeness, we want that connection, but it takes actual things to get there.
Right.
So, but then are we actually doing what we need to do? But also the landscape has changed in terms of how people are now going into relationships. If you think about it, in the past, or many, many years ago, women would get into relationships or get married, for example, have kids, start a family, because it was a prerequisite to what they were supposed to be doing, and then they would get benefits from that end. That landscape is changing now. And I think women are less focused on trying to get a need met from a man, because, they're able to work. They're able to earn their money. They're able to, to live life to the full, whether they decide to have children or not. Because again, that's a personal choice. They don't feel that they need to get married because I think there's more questioning around, how is this going to add value to me? And from the sexual perspective, it's also happening too.
Sure. And I guess a lot of women are not having orgasms. So that need is not really being met, or they're doing it themselves. Or, now we have a lot of tools that we can use to self-pleasure.
Yeah.
And my question is, but when you're with a man, now, again, I'm talking heterosexual because I don't know, and I'm sure that the rules might be different when you're in a homosexual relationship. And I would hope that, both are getting the same kind of pleasure if there's two men because they understand each other, or two women because they understand each other. But when you have a man and a woman, firstly, the man expects to ejaculate. I mean, you have sex, and rarely have I seen a man not get to that point. However, women are just like hoping that they do. So what is the reason? I know women we've talked about this, they don't communicate what they like or what they don't like. Maybe they don't know themselves until they explore. But how many of us really sit there and explore our own bodies?
Yeah.
Is there any kind of, I don't know if there's a statistic or anything that you can share in terms of how many women actually orgasm during intercourse or during sex?
I would
Or
say
is
it's about like, I think 18%, but I could be wrong.
right?
Yeah, I think
And
it's
then
like
we
17,
also
18%.
we also talked about this in the last episode. So I really suggest people watch it because there was so much good information in terms of it takes a woman up to, you said, 20 minutes to, between, I guess now,
To
relaxing.
relax, yeah, to be open.
Yeah, to get to that space where they can have an
Yeah.
orgasm.
And there needs to be more focus on clitoral stimulation. I think that's kind of like lost in translation.
Right.
Because you're kind of thinking, okay, we're having sex and you're going to be fine and you will get there because I know as a man, I'm going to get there. You will get there too.
Yeah.
But are we really focusing on clitoral stimulation?
Because a number of times I've been asked that question, like, did you come? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, if you have to
No.
ask, then that there's more exploration that needs to be done. But then there's also, you see, again, communication. It's coming in. It's I mean, it's hot property, but also understanding your anatomy. You need to understand your anatomy to kind of see, what gets you where.
Or at
as
least
fast,
the
or
comfort. Like, you
just-
need to get to the point where you're comfortable enough. And we talked about you can orgasm and a female can ejaculate, but then you can also, I call it the gush, but it's the full blown.
Yeah.
I can't believe I said
Yeah.
that on camera.
No.
But anyway, yeah, it's that, what is it? Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
But I mean, because this is the other thing, and there was, I think there was an article that I read the other day, and it was kind of talking about this thing called the Kyvin method.
Okay.
I hope it's the way that it's pronounced. It could be Kivin. I'm going to say Kyvin.
Okay.
And what it is instead of one leg, instead of both, instead of the female. Okay, so the female will have both legs. Instead of both legs being firmly planted, with the feet planted on the bed or wherever she's lying down on her back, one leg will actually, fold down to where it's resting, and it's resting on the surface, and then the partner, who's the man or the woman, could come and now provide the oral sex or the oral stimulation to the clitoris and the labia and other parts of the vulva, from a side view.
Okay.
And what they've said is that the orgasm is different and it's more powerful, and it could be in the fact that there's more resting happening as opposed to, because when you think
Being
about
stiff
it, when you
like
think about it,
like in childbirth
yes.
mode.
So in exercise,
Yeah.
when you go to the OBGYN, that's the position that you're taking.
Right.
So there's also that, like,
I mean, that's how my pap smears are done, and it's
well, this is the
it's
thing.
not
So
so
imagine
nice.
if you could just put your leg
okay.
down and allow your partner to come from a side view, you would have a different experience.
Well, for those of you who are willing to do the experiment, this is for research purposes only. Kyvin method. Look it up.
There's a step-by-step as well that you can look up.
Amazing. And I'd
online,
like to see like I'm going to try it for sure. But that's interesting. But because I think it's all about that, right? Is that getting to a woman to the point where she's so relaxed that she's able to then let loose.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, I'm going to say this, and then we talked about this before, is women will hold back because, first of all, we talked about this in detail, but you think it's actually like you're peeing in your pants, but you're not. And I don't know how many women actually get that sensation where it's like everything is tight, your stomach, your pelvis, everything, and then you ejaculate. And men might find that a little bit weird. You might have to keep some towels handy.
It's good. I mean,
But it's, it's like men are okay with just, I came on the bed. Sorry, let's clean up. But I think women are just, and I know I'm that person. I'm just like, not on the bed. Like, let's go on the ground. Like, let's go to the bathroom. Let's go to the toilet. Like, there's so much thinking behind where is it okay for me to have this experience that you're taking away from the experience because you're so careful not to, dirty or wet the bed.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we like to control situations. Because
and I told you this before. I'm overly controlling.
We
so
want
I'm just
to feel safe.
Yeah.
So if we start to
Right.
create safety, but focusing on the things that we can control, then we're in a better space rather than focusing on things that we can't control. Like we can't control how a partner is going to react if we ejaculate and they get to taste the ejaculate.
Right.
But we can control what is happening in our minds and whether we are present and connected in the moment at the time, instead of thinking about whether the laundry should be going or what we're going to have for dinner.
Sure.
So this is where your orgasm is your responsibility. Your pleasure is also your responsibility.
I love that. Your orgasm is your responsibility. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't push it on someone else and, ask for what you want. And then if you're not getting it, you know that you need to have a conversation about it. But a lot of men will be very happy to get you to that point if you are the one who wants to get there and you know how to.
Yeah.
And so, it's the open conversation and just asking for what you want.
Yeah. And talking to your partner, like, I mean, I think there's nothing more sexy than being able to talk through as you're having a sexual experience.
Right.
Let there be moans, let there be, talks, let there be let the other person know how they feel,
Right.
how you are making them feel, because there's nothing more, and this is a very personal opinion for me, like not knowing how my partner is feeling when I am trying to pleasure them is something that can be so demoralizing. And you kind of think, I can't care. I'm not getting any feedback from you.
100%,
So how am I
100%.
feeling? And this is the thing. It's not, I mean, it's a personal one, but it's also something that a lot of people speak about. Like, are we able to vocalize how we're feeling? Because all of that creates this very beautiful, hot of a messy experience, which is what sex is. It's not calculated. It's not, quiet. I mean, you can be if that's what you want to be. It's okay. I'm not dictating any of that. But I mean, like, be explosive.
Or just don't be. Don't be quiet. Try something different. Let yourself, and like we said, it's all about pushing yourself outside that comfort zone.
And it builds confidence over time. And you being able to express that will then allow you to be able to share what you need and what you would like to take one step further. So you know what, by all means, like, have a conversation with your partner, create a pleasure jar, figure out different things that you'd like to do. Once a week, go into that pleasure jar, pick up that little piece of paper and read out what we're going to do. And this is what we're going to try.
Nice.
And, because you see, this is the thing. It's effort. And you have to engage in it so that you keep on doing it, because you can't stop.
I love that.
It's not supposed to be a chore. It's supposed to be something that you open up. And if it is a chore, then, I think then having some conversation, seeking some therapy, and working through some of the things that is making you feel like it's a chore, it's really important. But there's help out there. So you don't need to suffer in silence.
Absolutely. We never need to suffer in silence.
And if your partner is not doing something right, tell your partner. Don't go and tell your friends, because your friends are not going to help you in that situation, right?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, communicate, and just find your pleasure zones and make it work.
Yeah.
God, Cathy. So are we going to do this every month? Like, I feel like people need to listen to us and need to listen to you. And we didn't even talk. We're not even going to go into it because we are done.
Okay.
But we're not even going to go into the statement you made, which was online sex is the best thing ever.
Oh my God.
So I'm not even going to touch that. So if you want to know more, you need to book an appointment with Dr. Cathy. And if you're in a long distance relationship and you want to know how to really get in touch with your sexual pleasure online, apparently she has all the answers.
I'm exploring.
You are exploring. So, I mean, let alone, like, yes, we have body mapping, but hey, how are we body mapping on Zoom?
Well, a
You
conversation for
are,
another day.
we're coming back. We're going to do this all the time. So if you guys have questions, this is the time to ask because we are all about talking about all things pleasure.
Yeah. And thank you for letting me share. I think this is the most I've been vulnerable in a podcast, like interview discussion, like
love it.
ever.
That's why it's Life Unfiltered. We just get down and dirty. That's what we do.
So,
And we
yeah.
were pretty, like I said, the first episode was pretty crazy. We did talk about my quote unquote multiple stuff, and we talked about how to get there, and we talked about
Yeah.
a whole bunch of things. So
I think the thing that I remember the most about like what you shared in the first podcast is how powerful affirmations are in terms of, you doing that with a partner.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very beautiful thing. And I would encourage anybody out there. Reassurance is you can't get enough of that. And I think it's a beautiful thing for you to get that from a partner. So I'll always remember that.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that makes me feel, I'm all warm and fuzzy now inside. Cathy, thank you so much for coming back.
You're
And
welcome.
it was such a beautiful conversation. And I really feel strongly about women finding their, whatever it is, their confidence, their pleasure, their intimacy.
Yeah.
And just have lots of orgasms. That's just what I want for the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be in a better place if just people had more orgasms.
It can be a superpower. But hey, if you're in a position where you're not able to find one, you're not broken, there's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I think that's why we keep having this conversation, is that how do we get people to just go out there and explore more? And it's not about the end. And like we said before, it's not about what the end result is. It's all about the journey that you take to get there.
Mm-hmm. So let's build the anticipation, see how that goes. Experience that.
Come to paddle. Me and my partner are always making out there. So if you want to get motivated on PDAs, I invite you to come and watch us in action for a little while. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on part 2. I think Cathy and I could have sat here forever and kept this conversation going. But today wasn't just about orgasms or intimacy. It was about awareness, learning to slow down, tune in, and better understand ourselves and our partners. A big thank you for Cathy for sharing not only her expertise, but also some very intimate conversations about herself and her healing over the last year, and a little bit of racy stuff too. If this conversation sparked a thought, challenged a belief, or opened you up to a new conversation, our job is done. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay open, and make sure you go out there and have multiple orgasms. This is Life Unfiltered by Fuzz, and that was probably the most unfiltered thing I've ever said.